Another bias that people fall into is this all or nothing. Like you were saying, like I have to be perfect or I can't do it at all. And so if we can kind of unpack that negative thinking bias and realize that you can still be a good mother without being perfect. You can still be a good wife without being perfect. You're not always going to say the right thing or do the right thing, but that doesn't mean that you're not good enough.
Welcome to the Marriage and Motherhood Podcast. I'm your host, Michelle Perda. As a marriage coach who's married with 3 kids, I know how much parenthood could change a marriage. If flirting, laughing, and having fun together feels like a thing of the past, then I'm here to teach you that marriage doesn't have to feel so hard with your parents, and your marriage can thrive even when you're in the season of raising kids. Whether you're in a good place in your marriage and you just want to continue growing together, or you're wondering if you even like your spouse anymore, this podcast has something for you. Join me here each week as we dive into what it takes to help your marriage grow and maybe even do a 180. You'll learn ways to handle conflict better, bring that spark back into your relationship, as well as learn how to improve other areas of your life from my lovely guest experts. Are you ready for the next stage of your life in marriage? Let's dive in. Hello. Welcome back to another episode of the Marriage and Motherhood Podcast. Today, I have my lovely guest, Patrice Payment. She's been a guest before, and I'm so excited to welcome her back to talk about something that I feel like most, if not all, moms encounter at one point or another, or maybe even like the whole thing when they become a mom. And that is anxiety and mom guilt. So we're going to dive into that. And before we get into this, if you are new to Patrice, she's a psychotherapist. She's also in Georgia, which is super exciting. And I will let her tell you herself how she got into psychotherapy and how she fell into wanting to support moms around their mental health and well-being. So welcome back, Patrice. I'm so glad you're here, and I'm so excited to dive into this topic. Can you please share with the people who are new to you how old your kids are and why you got into becoming a therapist?
Sure. Thanks for having me, Michelle. So my kids are 11, almost 11. It'll be 11 in a couple weeks, and 13. I have two boys, and so I'm kind of in that teenager years of parenting, preteen. And I got into my specific area of therapy that I work in is postpartum and motherhood. Originally, I was working with kids as a play therapist, but then when I had my own kids, I realized that, moms felt alone. So I decided that I wanted to work with moms after my own experience becoming a mom. I had worked with kids for several years and always thought that I wanted to work with kids. But after having my own kids, I realized how hard it is to be a mom. And I just kind of wanted to pivot and help moms so that moms could have that place where they are the main event and they're the ones that are getting the focus of the help. I also know how hard it is to ask for help and accept help as a mom. So I'm really passionate about just like normalizing the stigma of the hardness of motherhood or mental health, and just helping moms to see that they can get through whatever stress or anxiety or depression they're dealing with. And, that there is a way out and they're not alone.
Oh, I love that. I mean, I feel like becoming a mom, no matter how many books you read, no matter how many people, give you advice, as soon as that baby gets put in your arms, you're like, oh shit, this is real. How do I do this? Can I do this? And it's like this overwhelming sense of anxiety washes over you. And all of a sudden it's like, I was fine by myself, just like taking care of myself. And now it's like, oh my gosh, what do you need? Are you hungry? Do you need diaper change? Like, are you hot? Are you cold? And it's like our whole brain gets consumed by, how do I make your life the best possible life? And yet the baby can't talk yet, right? And even as they get older, they're still unaware of what they need. And so the anxiety just seems very overwhelming, plus all the overstimulation of the sounds and just having someone fully dependent on you all the time. I wanted to get into the common ways that you see anxiety manifesting in moms. Like, what are the main reasons that
your clients are coming to you, what are you noticing that they're feeling anxious over? And why is it that you're fine before you had kids, and then boom, the second you have a child and then you add more, it's like, I'm this brand new person with all this anxiety in me?
Yeah. First of all, the reason that moms come to me a lot of the times is they feel overwhelmed. They feel like they can't do it all, and there's this expectation that they have to do it all. And then they're just like at the point of burnout, and somewhere in their life, they're not giving enough to whatever area that is. So maybe it's affecting their work, or maybe they feel like they're losing their patience all the time. I think that I see a lot is moms saying that they just feel irritable, or they're snapping at their kids a lot. They're fighting with their husband, or another one is they feel like they're constantly on edge, or like worried that something bad is going to happen to their baby or their child. And it kind of goes back to what you were saying, is like whenever you have the baby, it gets thrown in your lap, and then this human being is 100% dependent on you in the very beginning. And then, of course, the goal is to kind of gradually help them to be more independent, but it takes a long time. And, even as a mom, I don't think that ever really 100% goes away, because even as your kids become adults, you still worry about them, and you still have anxiety about motherhood. And did I raise them right? Are they going to be okay, going off in their own life? Another thing that we were kind of talking about, and that I wanted to touch on, is how all of that is related to guilt and expectations. And a lot of the anxiety that I see moms coming to see me about is just feeling guilty over, like I said, not being enough. Guilty about they need a break, but they feel guilty about taking a break. That's probably one of the biggest ones I see mom guilt about. More recently, I've had a couple moms that had just gone back to work, or getting ready to go back to work, and they feel guilty about that. But then there's the flip side of that, is like, it's like a no-win situation, because if you don't work, then you have guilt about not providing and helping your family, not bringing in income. So, yeah, I think that a lot of the anxiety and stress that women deal with is all about this expectation, and not being able to achieve what society or their family or their partner, that there's this like, I should be doing this, or I should be doing it this way, should be doing a better job at this.
Yeah, I mean, I can totally relate to that. And I think you said it well when you said it's like a lose-lose situation, right? It's like, well, I'm doing all of these things and I'm tired, and I know that I should take it easy so that I don't burn out even more. But then when I think about doing that, I think about all those other things that I haven't done enough of, or done well enough, right? Whether it's, have I spent enough time with my kids, or I haven't talked to my friends enough lately, or I haven't checked in on that one family member, or, oh, my one friend needs help, but I'm so overwhelmed, I don't think I have the capacity to help. Or, geez, when was the last time I actually truly connected with my husband? Or, we went on a date, or we went on vacation together without the kids. It's like we're being pulled in so many different directions. And no matter how much we do, it does seem like we can easily get to that point where we feel powerless, where it's like, yeah, I'm never going to be able to be that perfect, woman, wife, mom, family member, friend, employee, or business owner, or whatever. And that is a really awful place to be. And that like feeds anxiety and the guilt, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if perfection isn't the goal, which society will tell you otherwise, right? If perfection isn't the goal, how can moms get out of this like negative thinking that no matter how much they do, it'll never be enough?
Yeah. So the way that I kind of approach this whole negative thinking cycle is by looking at what are the biases or unhelpful thinking patterns that I'm falling into. And just hearing you talk about what you were saying, I heard you kind of catastrophizing. I'm never going to be enough. That's a big one. Anxiety will make you think the worst is going to happen or the best is never going to happen. You know what I mean? Like it's like this worst case scenario, or it magnifies the truth. So, for example, I am the worst mom ever because I lost my cool with my baby or my kid. You know what I mean? Like it's like you catastrophize the situation and you also magnify that original thought into something way worse. You magnify the fact into something way worse than what it is. With mom guilt, the one that I see often is I have like a little cheat sheet of all the negative thinking strategies that people fall into. And the one with mom guilt is we're saying should, must, or ought. And when you use those words, moms, not moms, men, anyone, if you use those words in your thinking process, it automatically makes you feel guilty because it's like you're setting yourself up to fail. So that's kind of where the way I attack it or the way I approach it is let's kind of like peel back the onion a little bit and figure out like what is the thought that you're having that's making you feel overwhelmed or anxious or guilty or whatever. And then, okay, so what negative thinking bias are you falling prey to right now, you know? And sometimes just naming it as that really can help because people are like, oh, yeah, you're right. That's my brain doing that. That's not really the fact. Like, that's just something that a lot of people do. Pretty much everyone does at some point, you know? Some people are better at stopping it before it becomes a cycle or a loop. But that's where therapy can come in and having an outside person to kind of help you guide you through like, okay, where is this thought coming from and how can we think about it differently? And so what I do is I usually spend a lot of time just kind of, like I said, peeling back the onion and kind of getting a better understanding of where did it come from? Did that come from like a message that you received as a child? For example, if you feel guilty about going back to work, is that because you were always told or you saw your own parent not working until you were a certain age or maybe never at all? And so then you feel guilty because you're having to work and be a mom. Or maybe you got that message from society. I had someone tell me the other day that she was listening to a podcast by a psychologist. And I'm not saying that I don't agree with what the psychologist was saying, but she was saying something to the effect of babies are not supposed to leave their parents until they're a certain age. Yeah. And it's like an attachment, it's a theory of attachment that is, does make sense. When the baby comes out of the womb, the mother is supposed to be there to nurture and provide for them. But that's not the way we live anymore. We don't keep the baby on us 24/7 for 5 years or however many years it takes them to be able to go and do their own thing. So, we kind of had to talk about like, where is this thought coming from? And like, okay, well, that's one way of thinking, but it's also very black and white. Like that's another bias that people fall into. Very, very common, I think, is this all or nothing. Like you were saying, like I have to be perfect or I'm not, or I can't do it at all. And so like if we can kind of unpack that negative thinking bias and realize that you can still be a good mother without being perfect. You can still be a good wife without being perfect. You're not always going to say the right thing or do the right thing, but that doesn't mean that you're not good enough.
Wow, that's
So
wild
that's
that that psychologist said that. I mean, probably would have been true back in, I don't know, the Stone Age.
yeah, I know.
I mean, when there was like not so much going on, but in modern day parenting, as times change and as our resources and material accessibility and whatever changes, so do our needs. right?
Right.
So like even marriages and what's required of a marriage has changed, right? In previous
Mhm.
generations, it was all about survival, being provided for, physical safety. Like, cool, I have a home, I have food on the table, you're a decent person, cool. But now marriage is evolving as we are evolving as humans. We're becoming more emotionally intelligent. We're becoming more self aware as women. And so we require different things. Now, connection is a huge thing, partnership is a huge thing. And having, the same values is a huge thing. Whereas before it was like maybe that was like a nice cherry on top kind of thing. But now it's like becoming a requirement for people to be happy in marriages. And so I think we need to adjust our expectations of ourselves, or I don't even like the word expectation, but maybe like standards for ourselves
Mhm.
with how we view parenting, because you like, unless you're in the position where you literally could have your child with you 24/7, like you are well off enough to have someone take care of everything else, you don't have to work, and like, cool, I'm happy for you if that's what you like. Even if I were in that position, I don't think I'd want to spend that much time with my children because I need my alone time.
Exactly.
But like I don't like that either. Like I think historically we can talk about it being that way historically, but we are so far removed from that being our reality that we need to be more realistic with what we have today. It's like kids in general will do better if they're out in nature all the time, which is how they lived, right? Like if you're camping, you'll notice the kids won't say they're bored because they're playing with rocks and sticks and dirt, right? But then the second you're at home and you have all of these toys, all of these like screens of different sorts, and then it's like, I'm bored, I'm hungry, da 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 da. It's like it's very different.
Yeah, it's very different. And I think something else that I had to realize with that specific person who heard that podcast is she had her own biases already. And when she heard it in a way that she automatically thought this is what this person is trying to say. So I'm trying to
Mm,
give whoever the psychologist was, the benefit of the doubt that like maybe because of where she was in that moment when she heard it, she interpreted it to be that all or nothing. Like
yeah.
I don't even she was gonna send it to me and she never did, so I don't even know if that's even what they said or if
Mm,
she just interpreted that message, again, because of what she was already feeling because of her own mother not working, you know what I mean? So it's like going back to these messages and trying to really unravel what is your value, like you said, like what is the truth for you? What do you want? And are you hearing messages from other people and that's why you're feeling guilty? You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? So like going back to the bottom line and what is the truth. One way that I help moms think about that is we talk about like alternative ways to challenge that thought. So like think about it from someone else's perspective. So if your best friend called and you told them what you were thinking, would you say, I feel guilty because da 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 da, and would they say, oh yeah, you should feel guilty about that. You're a bad mom. Or another way to think about it is if a friend came to you and they said that this happened or they feel guilty about such and such, would you tell them that they should feel guilty? So it's like helping you see that there's a whole nother way of thinking about
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is. And then also with the should and the must and the ought to, like just as much as you can being aware of that when it's in your vocabulary and trying to just take it out of your vocabulary and say
Yes.
something more like I would like to. So like for example, I should get up at 5 a.m. and work out every day. You would say I would like to get up at 5 a.m. and work out every day, so that it's not this like you're already setting yourself up to feel bad if you don't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great goal to have, and I would like to do it, but if I don't do it, it's okay.
I think
That
it's
kind
good to challenge it too, right?
of
So
Mhm.
if like I think what Patrice is saying is a great first step is like, do I want to do that or do I feel like I should do that? And if it's not something I want to do and I feel like I should do, you could say, says who? Right. And for
Mm-hmm.
what reason? If you waking up at 5 is to exercise, okay, great. So the whole goal is to move your body. Does it have to happen at 5? Does it have to happen in the way that you think it should? Or is there some room for some flexibility? Can you do it at night? Can you
Mm-hmm.
do it at your lunch break if you go to work? Can you, go for a family walk after dinner and get everyone to go outside, right? I think a lot of it is that black and white thinking where it has to happen this one particular way or I'm a failure. I think that's the type of thinking that creates a lot of the angst that we really could help ourselves not fall into, right? The brain is a wonderful thing, okay? Like it helps us in so many different ways, but also we have to remember that the brain doesn't always know what's the best for us, right? It really takes on everything that we've seen, everything we consume from social media to what we hear from our parents to our friends and all these external expectations. We also have to remember, well, what's my take on that? What would best serve my life right now, like in this season of life? Right. So, right before I hit record with Patrice, I went for a walk. And, before the kids got off for summer vacation, I went walking almost every single day, unless I had like tennis. Right. And I would walk for a good 45 minutes to an hour. Well, I haven't been able to do that in all of June because they were home with me. And I felt so bad, right? I felt like I could feel the ickiness of not regularly exercising. I was like more irritable and I just like didn't feel like I was myself. And today I was like, shoot, I have a meeting with Patrice, but I really need to get this walking because this is like the first week of all summer that the kids are away. They're like at a day camp. And I was like, no, I got to get it in. Even if it's not the 45 minutes, I got to get it in. Even if it's just like 20 minutes. I need this and I want this for myself. That's very different than like, oh, I should go do that. It's like, no, I want to do that because I know that I'm going to feel so good afterwards. And it's been a while, honestly. But it's when you put that like pressure on yourself and it's completely optional, right? And you have to notice that it's you doing it to yourself. And maybe it's unintentional, but I think when we notice that, then we don't feel so powerless and we're like, oh, right, I am the boss of the decisions that I make. So I can say no, I can say, let's do it differently. Or I could say, yeah, I'm going to do this because I want to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I think there were a lot of good points that you made. Like saying no is another thing that we have a hard time doing as moms. And often it comes at our own expense, and it's like we feel like we have to do it all and say yes to everything. And that's not sustainable. And that's how burnout comes about. And that's how stress and anxiety kind of snowballs, And so just being able to go back to the truth and what you want and what do you need, like want and need, and like pay attention to those things without all this outside noise, which I'm not saying that you shouldn't consider others and it should be all about you, because then you're going to start thinking, well, I'm selfish, but just making yourself a priority and what you need and want. And that doesn't make you a bad mom, even though your child is dependent on you. It actually models something for them that they can learn as they grow and, become an adult. And it's also helping you to be a better mom when you take care of yourself or do what, like you said, you were putting them first. You weren't getting to walk and you were starting to notice a change in your own well-being. And, you can't be a good provider, caretaker for your children if you're not taking care of yourself, which, saying yes to everything, even if it's something you don't want, it's not taking care of you. It's just taking care of everyone else.
Yeah. And it adds up, right?
Yeah.
And I remember years ago, this is like this messaging that I read or heard from someone, I don't even remember, but it was so impactful. Whenever we say yes to something, also consider what that means you're saying no to, and then vice versa, right? So like if you're like, oh yeah, I'll say yes to baking something fresh for the bake sale, what does that mean you're saying no to? Does that mean saying no to enough sleep? Does that mean saying no to like not feeling rushed at night or in the morning, or, no to calm and peace? And then vice versa. When you say no, what are you saying yes to? Okay, I'm going to say no to attending this birthday party of someone that, I don't know, I just feel like I should go, but I don't actually want to go. That means that you're saying yes to like having downtime to yourself, or having family time, or having more time to commit to a project at home that you've been wanting to finish, or whatever. And so I think when we weigh our options, again, bringing it back to empowering ourselves and instead of feeling powerless, that's a really big way to work your way through the anxiety. Because I think we may not always be able to control it being on set, right? We can't say, no, anxiety, you can't come knocking on my door today. But we do get to choose how we respond to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think like between Patrice's suggestions and using this tool, like this is a really great start for you to start navigating it more confidently, because like I feel like that's what we want for you, is just have more tools to be able to navigate this, because you'll never be able to be like, I am 100% anxiety free. Like that is just not how life works, unfortunately. And same for mom guilt. But I think that the more you practice it, the easier it will become to notice that you're having that feeling of anxiety, and just like putting that pressure on yourselves, and then knowing, oh, I can do something about this. And I think that matters so much with your experience.
Yes, absolutely. And I think another thing that kind of goes along with this for anxiety is practicing mindfulness. And it's kind of what we're talking about is like, what is true right now? What do I need, or what do I want? It's like when you start to have anxiety, you're most often worrying about what might happen or what's going to happen in the future. So like bringing it back to, okay, where is this thought coming from? Like, and that one is a little harder to dive into, because a lot of times we're not aware where it came from, and we're not like, we're too caught up in whatever's next to think about that. But also, where is it coming from? But like, what do I really want, and what are my values, and how can I pivot, or, step out from this negative thinking cycle that I'm falling into by looking at it differently.
Yeah. I think all this centers around changing your perspective of things, because anxiety is very much like when you're future focused, right? And it isn't always the brightest of possibilities when it comes to what might happen in your thinking around it. And so I think mindfulness is a great way. And there's so many different ways that you can practice mindfulness, from deep breathing to just like putting your feet in the grass or the ground outside and noticing like, where am I? I'm right here, right? So like being that phrase, being where your feet are, like where are your feet? They're not in the future. That's where your mind is, right? But where are your feet? Oh, okay. Well, right now for me, my feet are on the rug. I'm sitting in a chair. I'm in my office and I'm talking to Patrice and recording an episode for you all. Okay. And I think that the more you can remind yourself of where you are, you can start to expand your perspective to include different possibilities, different options, instead of feeling like you have tunnel vision, right? It's like when we're scared, right? You can only think about the worst case scenario, and that's all you're thinking about. But when you let yourself settle and the emotions kind of like calm down, then you're like, oh, wait, but these are other potential things that could happen out of this, right? Think about your kids and what they're scared of. They get really caught up in like in that spiral where they can't get out of their like stuckness, right? So whenever you feel anxious, remind yourself, oh, I feel like I'm stuck right now, but am I? Can you think of something else, just to, like a little like crack in the door? Can you crack the door open a little bit? And then soon enough, you'll be like, oh, I could push this door wide open. Actually, I'm keeping myself trapped in here. So like, let's see what are some other ways out of this. This can't be the only way that this can happen, right? And, seek out Patrice, get support. If you're local to the Georgia area, she's a psychotherapist. She'd love to help you. She's wonderful. I've actually been a speaker in Patrice's group therapy for postpartum moms. And the ladies in there are incredible. You can tell that she's really created a nice, warm, nurturing, supportive community there. So if you're local to Georgia, go seek out Patrice and talk to her, because this is not something that you have to do alone. Like, motherhood was never meant to be something alone. Even way back in the Stone Age, like, they had community. And so if you feel like, yeah, I often have negative thoughts, and my thoughts are spiraling all of the time, and I feel like I basically live off adrenaline because of how much anxiety I have, and I want to remember what it's like to be calm again, go talk to her. Okay. This is not something that we want you to be your normal. This is common, but we don't want it to be how you live on a daily basis, because it's not healthy. It's not healthy for you. It's not healthy for your kids. And motherhood was never meant to feel so overwhelming all of the time, right? There's moments, but with the right tools, you'll know how to navigate through them. And we want nothing but the best for you as moms, so that you can also enjoy all the beautiful things that come with motherhood, and also remember who you are as an individual and as partner. Thank you so much for sharing all of those tools and information around how anxiety and mom guilt kind of go hand in hand, and what people can start to do to navigate through them. Can you please share with the listeners where they can best connect with you and learn more from you?
Sure. You can go to my website. It's www.momlifewithp.com. Or you can reach out to me. I'm on Instagram at momlifecounseling.
Awesome. All right. Thank you again for being on the show. Listeners, please, please, please take one moment to consider using at least one of these tools the next time you feel that like episode of anxiety come on, or if you feel like you start shitting all over yourself. Okay. Just use one of these tools and see how it feels, right? No pressure, and see which one works the best for you, and see how you feel when you start consistently applying those tools to your life. And if it does great things, please go send Patrice and myself a message so that we can celebrate you. And if you know someone that could benefit from listening to this episode, please share this with them. Better yet, share this in your stories and tag us so we know and we can thank you. And if you love this show, please leave a rating and review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you listen. I would so appreciate that, because that's how this show grows. And send me a message. Let me know what you love most about the show, any episode topics that you've been dying to hear about, because I would love to know and make that into an episode for you in the future. And that's all we have for today. I hope you love this, and I hope you do try at least one of the tools that we shared on this episode. And I hope that you, at the very minimum, feel less alone now that you've heard that this is a thing that most, if not all, women experience throughout their journey as moms. And I'll catch you back here on the next episode.
That's it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed making it. If you did, please send me a message over on Instagram at Michelle Perta Coaching to let me know what you loved most about it. Hearing from my listeners is my absolute favorite. And if you've been loving this podcast, please leave a rating and review. This will help people like you find the show and get the help they need. Catch you here on the next episode. Bye.